Hi folks, Evan from Codify here, and it is now week 5. It is time to learn Bootstrap, Twitter Bootstrap. So what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is a framework that allows us to very quickly code sophisticated layouts for our site. Bootstrap really makes writing CSS a lot easier. It makes writing media queries a lot easier. It is, think of it as like a shorthand for bundles and bundles and bundles of CSS. Okay, so for example, rather than having to select a bunch of divs, make them display inline block, give them a specific width, make sure that their box sizing is appropriate. If you wanted to get these 3 divs to line up in a row together, it's as simple as putting them in an element which has a class of row with Bootstrap. Okay, that may not make sense to you, or maybe that's tough to visualize. I didn't do a great job of explaining it, but with considerably less code, using Bootstrap, we are capable of accomplishing a lot more. Okay, and this is especially apparent when we think about how much CSS writing Bootstrap saves us. So before I dive in, let's go ahead and talk about how to get set up with Bootstrap, how to get started. It's very simple. First of all, we're going to go to getbootstrap.com. Getbootstrap.com. I want you to remember this site. It's not that hard. Getbootstrap.com. Remember that site. Getbootstrap.com. It's really not hard. Getbootstrap.com. 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 Okay, bookmark it if you need to. Write it down. Whatever you need to do. But getbootstrap.com is a great resource, and it is where we're going to need to go to set ourselves up with Bootstrap, to find examples of working Bootstrap code, to find Bootstrap themes, to find use cases with Bootstrap, to learn more things about Bootstrap components. Getbootstrap.com. Anyway, once you're here, there are 2 ways to get set up with Bootstrap. You can download it, which simply involves downloading bootstrap.css and bootstrap.js, saving them into your project folder, and hooking them up to your index.html. The other way is to use what's called a CDN. I'm going to show you both ways. Okay, right now, where you guys are, I would recommend using the CDN. Both ways have their advantages. Most often, developers will use a CDN while they're developing a page or an application. And then when it's time to publish, they will download all of the files they need, change their links, and deploy. Okay, but I'm going to show you both. Let's start with how to download it. I'm at getbootstrap.com. I click on the download button. And I know nobody can be bothered to read anything anymore. That's just where we are as a species. So what you're going to want to do is download the compiled CSS and JS. It's the first big section here. Compiled CSS and JS. And at the bottom of this section is the download button. So I'm going to download that. And inside there's a JS folder and a CSS folder. Well, I'm going to go ahead and open my project folder that I'm working in right now. And I'm going to drag my JS folder over to my page, over to my project folder. I'm going to go into the CSS folder, and there's a bunch of Bootstrap CSS files here, right? Well, right now, I'm only going to concern myself with one. I'm just going to pull over bootstrap.css. That's it. Okay, and once they're in my project folder, I should now be able to see bootstrap.css in my CSS folder, and I see this JS folder which has a bunch of Bootstrap stuff. Okay. Now I'm only going to use one bootstrap.js file, but because I pulled over the whole JS folder, they're all in here. So first thing, we need to link up bootstrap.css. So above my main.css link, I'm going to write another link that looks identical, except the href is going to point to css/bootstrap.css. And I'm going to label it for good measure with a comment. This is Bootstrap version 4, which we're in right now. Not that you need to know. Now to link the JS file, .js, we've never dealt with this before. So something that I need is what's called a script tag. A script tag. It's very much like a linked, but it's for JavaScript files. And this is going to go at the very bottom of your body. And it's going to be script type equals text / JavaScript. And rather than an href, like our link tags, it's going to use a source attribute. And that source is going to point to the JS file. And inside that JS file, it's going to point to bootstrap.js. Finally, the other difference between a script tag and a link tag is script tags do have a closing tag. Script elements have a closing tag. Link elements do not. Okay? So once I've done that, we are almost good to go. Almost. Something about Bootstrap that you need to know is Bootstrap's JavaScript features require something called jQuery in order to work. Bootstrap.js. I'm going to label these with comments. Bootstrap requires something called jQuery, which is a JavaScript library, in order to function correctly. So we're going to need to add jQuery to our file as well. So I'm going to Google jQuery. I'm going to click on download jQuery. I'm going to click on download the uncompressed development jQuery 331. Okay, we don't want to deal with compressed files in general at this stage. We always want the uncompressed. Okay, so I'm going to download that. It opens up this page of code. This is all JavaScript. Don't worry about it, but I'm going to save as. And in my project folder, I'm going to go into my JavaScript folder and save this as jQuery-33331. Type is JavaScript file. I click Save. Now all I need to do is copy the same script for Bootstrap. I can make sure that jQuery is in my project folder, and it is. I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to change the file name from bootstrap.js to jQuery-3.3.1.js. Something to note here. jQuery must be loaded prior to bootstrap.js. Okay, so whether you choose to download the files like this or to use a CDN, which I'll show you in a moment, Bootstrap, the script for Bootstrap must always come after the script for jQuery. Bootstrap is dependent on jQuery. It requires jQuery in order to run. So if Bootstrap loads before jQuery loads, then the browser is going to throw an error and none of our JavaScript files will work. We need jQuery to load first so that our browser knows how to read the Bootstrap code. Okay? And once again, our scripts will all go at the very bottom of our body, inside of our body, but at the very bottom of it. So I like to give myself plenty of room, plenty of open space between my opening body tag and my script tags. You can even label your scripts with a comment like this. It's very common. Okay, so with that, we have Bootstrap hooked up to our project file. That's if you choose to download the files. I'm going to show you now an easier, quicker, and more development-friendly way of adding Bootstrap. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this entire JS folder. And I'm going to delete bootstrap.css. Okay? So I'm starting from a project folder that looks exactly the way it did when we started this video. Then I'm going to delete my Bootstrap link tag, and I'm going to delete both of my scripts. Okay? Now a CDN is called it stands for Content Delivery Network. And all a CDN is for using external style sheets and JavaScript sheets, libraries, plugins, frameworks, tools, external tools, by simply linking them to our index.html the same way that we did Font Awesome. This is one link which links to an external style sheet that allows us to use Font Awesome with little to no trouble. So that's a CDN, a content delivery network. It gives us instant access to all sorts of tools and third-party plugins. The reason why you might want to be careful of CDNs is CDNs can update. In fact, they frequently do, which means you're going to immediately have access to the updates, to any code that was updated on the other end of the CDN, which can be really good. Or it can be really bad if you weren't expecting some of the ways in which it updates. So that's something to think about. The other thing is, if you're using pure CDNs, all of these are external URLs, which means when your page loads, your page has to make HTTP or HTTPS calls to a bunch of other pages. So that can slow down your page a little bit. We're not at a point where we're going to worry about that. And while developing, CDNs are more useful anyway. But the last thing that you should think about is, if you plan on coding without internet access, your CDNs are going to be useless. So if you're going on a long plane ride and you want to work on a project, I would recommend downloading any resources you think you're going to need. Okay? So those are the thoughts to keep in your head when considering using a CDN or downloading a project file. But to use the Bootstrap CDN, I'm going to go back to the beginning. We're going to go back to getbootstrap.com. And rather than click on download, I'm going to click on get started. And there's two sections here under quick start. There's a CSS section and a JavaScript section. All we need to do is copy it all and paste it in the right place. Okay, so I'm going to copy this link tag in the CSS section, and I'm going to place it above my main.css link. Okay, it looks like a big old link tag, but it's really just like any other, which links to an external style sheet. Okay, that's part one. And part two, I'm going to copy all of the scripts in the JS section, JavaScript. There's 3 scripts in here. Copy them, and I'm going to paste them at the bottom of my body. They look like massive scripts. I know there's a lot of characters in there, but it's not complicated. They're just linking to external URLs. Okay, and what we've done is we've attached the Bootstrap CSS style sheet to our index.html. We've attached jQuery to our index.html. We've attached something called popper.js to our HTML, and Popper is just another tool which Bootstrap uses. And finally, bootstrap.js. has been attached to our index.html. So all I did was copy over these two things, and now we have Bootstrap working perfectly. Okay, so that's how you get set up with Bootstrap. At this point, I do recommend using the CDNs. It's less hassle, it's quicker, it's less to think about, and once you feel more comfortable with more complex file structures, it will be easier to handle downloading libraries and frameworks like Bootstrap and taking from those downloaded files exactly what you need. You'll feel more confident doing so and not destroying your project folder. Okay, so I recommend copying these links, the one link tag and the 3 script tags, into your template, saving it, then copy your template, rename it, and we're going to code into that for the rest of these videos.